She is clearly a lovely and charming young girl, yet every day she has to secretly hide in the warehouse of a department store. Waiting until all the staff have left, she quietly sneaks out, then sits on a bench outside to meticulously record the prices of items in the store. Before the store closes at nightfall, she hurriedly hides in the restroom again, waiting until all the employees have clocked out and left before she secretly walks out to find the items she needs on the dazzling shelves. To prepare for childbirth in advance, she carefully reads parenting books and then uses a pair of dumbbells to exercise, mimicking the movements in the book to entertain herself. Although such days are difficult, she always maintains an optimistic attitude. At least here, she won't go hungry. After her workout, she finds some food to satisfy her hunger and then goes to the restroom to wash up. In the dead of night, she spreads a quilt directly on the floor and sleeps peacefully. However, to keep the secret that she lives here from being discovered, she needs to wake up within a specific time, so she sets several alarm clocks beside her. As soon as the alarm rings the next morning, she gets up immediately, returns all the used products to their original positions exactly as they were, and then hides in the storage room again. When the supermarket opens for business and everyone leaves the area, she quietly sneaks out. As time passed day by day, she continued this secretive life for a full 2 months. However, on a dark and windy night with lightning flashing and thunder rolling outside, Novalee curled up on the floor of the department store, suddenly feeling a sharp pain in her stomach. She quickly realized she was about to go into labor. Although she had made ample psychological preparations before this, when the moment truly arrived, her heart was filled with extreme panic. At this moment, how she wished someone could be by her side, even if just to hold her hand and give her a firm look. It would be enough to make her feel at ease. But the cruel reality was that she could only rely on herself, rely on that strong conviction of becoming a mother, to welcome this baptism of life. As time passed, the pain came surging like a tide, wave after wave. She stumbled through the aisles, wanting to find some items that could help her. But a burst of intense pain made her instantly lose her balance, and she fell heavily to the ground. At this critical moment, amidst the lightning and thunder outside, a black figure suddenly rushed out of the storm, breaking through the window like a savior. But Novalee didn't notice this at all. She just looked up and saw a number plate, and her gaze instantly froze. Out of instinct, she retreated to a corner of the rack in panic, as if this could isolate her from all danger. Because ever since she was born, whenever she saw the number 5, bad luck would befall her. Novalee's father passed away when she was 5 months old. When she was 5 years old, her mother ran off with a baseball umpire and cruelly abandoned her. When she was 15, she thought it was a turning point in her fate. But a sudden accident resulted in 55 stitches at the hospital. So, whenever Novalee saw the number 5, she had an ominous premonition. But this time, the symbol that was once regarded as bad luck quietly turned into the most critical turning point in her life. Perhaps because Novalee grew up in a broken home, she had an incomparable longing for a happy and complete family. Therefore, she couldn't wait to get a boyfriend as soon as she turned 18. Willie was a free-spirited wandering singer who, at the age of 30, still had no house, no car, and no savings. But in Novalee's eyes, these worldly labels never became the standard for judging him. On the contrary, Novalee was deeply attracted by Willie's heart, that loved life and pursued freedom, and she regarded him as her only relative in this world. So she pinned all her happiness and hope for the rest of her life on Willie, and even bravely carried his child. But Willie showed unexpected indifference and alienation towards her love. That day, Novalee was preparing to go on a long trip with Willie. Before leaving, she handed her boyfriend a camera, hoping he could help take a photo of her and her best friend as a souvenir. But Willie pressed the shutter with an almost contemptuous attitude and finished it hastily, not giving her the respect she deserved in front of her best friend at all. Even so, on the way to their destination, Novalee was still full of beautiful expectations for the future. She gently placed Willie's hand on her belly, letting him feel that subtle and magical heartbeat. But Willie was not moved by this most shocking moment in life. Instead, with an extremely impatient expression, he told Novalee a depressing fact Her shoes had fallen out of a hole in the bottom of the car at some point. Facing Willie's blame, Novalee felt wronged like a child who had made a mistake. Just when she felt incredibly depressed about this, she was pleasantly surprised to find a supermarket not far away.
Oh! What the hell?
Walmart. I can go to the bathroom.
Willie slammed on the brakes and made a sharp turn, parking the car in the parking lot in front of the supermarket. Novalee asked Willie for $10, which instantly aroused his disgust. Just as Novalee selected her shoes and was ready to pay, she was horrified to find a string of numbers symbolizing bad luck on the supermarket's display screen. A wave of intense panic surged over her like a tide, and she hurriedly ran out of the mall. She looked around the parking lot and found that her boyfriend had indeed vanished, leaving behind only her most cherished old camera. Novalee's heart was filled with panic and helplessness, and her abnormal behavior quickly attracted the attention of a female supermarket staff member who warmly asked Novalee if she needed help. At this moment, Novalee's eyes were empty and confused. Perhaps she couldn't accept this fact yet, or perhaps in that chaos, she still harbored a faint fantasy of her boyfriend's return.
Went to get the car fixed. He'll pick me up.
For an 18-year-old girl who was pregnant and had no one to rely on, this was, in a way, her only form of self-comfort. She quickly adjusted her mindset. After all, for the sake of the child in her womb, she had to bravely face everything that was about to happen. After that, she sat on a bench playing with the camera while waiting for Willie to return. But at this moment, a woman with a kind and amiable face walked over warmly to greet her. It turned out that Sister Husband had mistaken Novalee for a friend's daughter, so she asked after Novalee's well-being like a mother and gave her a basket of gifts, as well as a buckeye tree symbolizing good luck, hoping it would bring good fortune to her and the unborn child. However, she never could have imagined that this buckeye tree would completely change her life. During the warm moment of parting, Sister Husband specifically left her address and invited Novalee to visit her home. Facing such motherly care and invitation, ripples rose in Novalee's heart. After all, no one had cared about her like this since she grew up. She was very grateful for Sister Husband's kindness, but deep down, there was still an indescribable lingering worry, a faint hope that Willie might change his mind. She worried that if she left here now, she might miss the best time for Willie to come back and pick her up. She knew deeply that Willie was not only her emotional sustenance, but also the indispensable father in the child's life. So she chose to continue waiting here. Subsequently, she walked into the supermarket and wandered in the children's clothing section, her gaze falling on the colorful little clothes, her heart filled with the warmth and anticipation of motherly love. However, just then, the supermarket broadcast interrupted her thoughts.
The checkout counters. Walmart will open again at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. And as always, thank you for shopping Walmart.
So, a bold yet helpless idea quietly sprouted in her mind. Perhaps secretly staying in the supermarket with the child was the only way to survive now. But born kind-hearted, she was by no means a greedy person who wanted to gain without effort. During the day, she would record every item she used in the supermarket at night in a notebook, hoping that one day when she could support herself, she could repay this favor doubly. But several weeks passed, and the buckeye tree that carried hope did not bring luck as they wished. Instead, it began to slowly wither. Perhaps in countless lonely nights, the buckeye tree gave her the only companionship. Or perhaps this buckeye tree had quietly become her last thought to persist in living and finding a turning point. So she walked into the town library with the mentality of giving it a try, attempting to obtain some methods of caring for it from books. In the library, she met an honest librarian named Forney. After learning of Novalee's intention, Forney enthusiastically helped recommend books on caring for buckeye trees. Due to her poor family environment, Novalee hadn't read many books, so she recognized very few words. Therefore, she longed to find some help from Forney. But Forney seemed to have encountered some trouble as well. Before Novalee could speak, he hurriedly ran upstairs. At this moment, Novalee realized that perhaps returning the item to its owner was the ultimate destination for this buckeye tree. So she went to Sister Husband's address to return the buckeye tree to its original owner. During the return process, She didn't reveal too much about her current situation, only humbly stating that her knowledge was poor and she really couldn't properly care for this sapling. Sister husband didn't pursue the matter too much. Instead, she hosted Nova Lee warmly and sincerely invited her to lunch. They sat around the dining table holding hands to pray for the impending new life. At this moment, Nova Lee felt the warmth and beauty of a family for the first time, and an indescribable emotion welled up in her heart. After lunch, the sunshine was just right, and the breeze was gentle. They planted the buckeye tree in the garden together. However, during the planting process, Sister husband was puzzled by Novali's background many times and asked if she needed their help. But the kind Novali believed they had just met by chance. The two elderly people were in the best time to enjoy their old age, and they shouldn't be burdened with life's troubles and unnecessary trouble because of a burden like her. In the end, she chose to return to the supermarket again, silently bearing all this alone. But that very night, a lightning bolt suddenly flashed across the sky. Novali immediately felt something was wrong. What was bound to come had finally come. With a burst of severe pain, Novali passed out. When she woke up, she found herself lying in a hospital bed. The ward was filled with flowers and various greeting cards. Just as she was feeling confused, a beautiful nurse beside her told her that her giving birth in the supermarket last night had caused a sensation in the whole town, and many enthusiastic residents had rushed over early in the morning to send blessings. Now, many media outlets were still gathered downstairs at the hospital, all eagerly waiting to interview her. Novali was at a loss for a moment. She just wanted to know if the child was safe as soon as possible, but those pervasive media reporters quickly found her after learning that Novali had woken up.
There she is! That's the Walmart mommy!
However, these reporters also brought her some help. Because of the media's vigorous spread, Novali became a household name, and her tragic experience also received attention and sympathy from people from all walks of life. So, during her recuperation in the hospital, she received donations from many caring people. But just then, a woman unexpectedly appeared in front of her. It was Novali's mother. After not seeing each other for many years, Novali almost didn't recognize her own mother. Even though they were close relatives, there were no waves in their hearts. However, on the surface, the mother came to care about her daughter's living conditions. But anyone with a discerning eye could see that she wanted to get some benefits from her daughter. After reuniting with her daughter, she quickly launched into her act. She detailed how much she had missed her daughter over the years, but the focus of her words always revolved around the family background of Novali's in-laws. When she learned that Novali was now homeless, Novali's mother not only showed no mercy, but instead had a dismissive attitude, even trying every possible way to squeeze out her last shred of hope. To satisfy her own selfish desires, she did not hesitate to weave a magnificent lie to her biological daughter in the name of family affection.
Well, I'm not in any hurry to move on. Maybe I could find a place. You and me and the baby.
You mean like a home?
Home, apartment, whatever, till you get on your feet. I got me a little money.
Although Novali knew her mother's character well, she still held a glimmer of hope for family affection. After all, blood is thicker than water. She unhesitatingly took out all the donation money she had and gave it to her mother. But after getting the money, her mother's face instantly became flustered. She hurriedly tried to leave on the pretext of preparing diapers and milk powder for the baby. Before leaving, she vowed to Novali that she would come to pick them up home on time at 9 o'clock tomorrow, but until 12 noon the next day, the mother never appeared in front of Novali. The helpless mother and daughter were cruelly abandoned by their relative once again. Just when Novali felt deeply helpless and depressed, a woman who was not a mother, but was like a mother, appeared in front of her like a savior.
Hey!
Sister husband sensed Novali's disappointment from her expression. She knew well that for someone who had experienced such tragic encounters, cliché pity would instead make Novali lose her due self-esteem. So, she wove a white lie to Novali with love.
So stay with me for a while, then you could take care of it for me. Sure help me out a lot.
Okay.
Just like that, Novali got into Sister husband's car and truly had a home. in the real sense. The supermarket owner didn't pursue Novali's responsibility either. Instead, he gave her a stable job. She also became close friends who talked about everything with the hospital nurse, Lexi. After everything settled down, she took the child to that library, wanting to thank that librarian, Forney, in person. Because she learned from her conversation with Lexi that the man in black who broke through the window on the night she gave birth in the supermarket was Forney. Because of a hurried encounter in the library, Forney was deeply attracted by Novali's beauty and kindness. The origin of this strange girl also attracted his attention, so he secretly followed Novali to prevent any unfortunate accidents from happening to her. It was precisely because of this hero saving the beauty that they formed an indissoluble bond. From then on, they helped each other in life. In his spare time, Forney helped Novali take care of her daughter, filling the vacancy of a father in her daughter's growth. With Forney's help, Novali also learned professional photography knowledge from the library. Relying on her own efforts to continuously improve herself, she finally won supreme honors in the photography world and reached the pinnacle of life. She not only had her own new home, but also formed the family she had dreamed of with Forney. And that ex-boyfriend who had ruthlessly abandoned her became a hit local rock singer thanks to his connection with an agent. But due to his indiscreet, private life, he was discovered by his boss and eventually ruined his reputation. One night, while drinking alone, his legs were crushed by a speeding train. When Novali went to the hospital to visit him, he finally regretted it endlessly, but it was all too late. He was lucky enough to meet Novali, which was a rare gift in life, but he didn't know how to cherish it and ended up in such a tragic state. As for Novali, her life was full of bumps and misfortunes from the very beginning. At birth, she suffered the immense grief of losing relatives, as if fate had closed that warm door to her from the start. In the process of growing up, she was ruthlessly abandoned by her mother twice, and when pursuing happiness, she met the wrong person, but she never gave up on her pursuit. Life may often be much worse than we imagine, but what we can do is keep hope and kindness in our hearts and continue to walk on strongly. Every small act of kindness is like a lamp lit in the grayness, not only illuminating one's own path, but also bringing warmth and light to the people around. Even if the road ahead is full of thorns, harboring hope is like holding a compass, guiding us towards a better direction. Please remember, no matter what you encounter in life, as long as you maintain inner kindness and resilience, you will definitely see the dawn of hope, because life does not lack failure and setbacks. What it lacks is the courage to start all over again.